All right, everyone, ready for another deep dive. This time, we're heading to Paris. But we're not diving into baguettes and berets today.
No, not this time.
This is a Parisian tale, but with a twist. We're talking about a reimagining of a classic, and let me tell you, it flips the script.
Oh, it does.
So forget the hunchback you think you know. Our Quasimoda is a young woman yearning for connection. But she's stuck, confined by her overprotective mother to their, get this, health shop apartment.
Yeah, you can just imagine the wheatgrass shots and herbal remedies.
Right, talk about a unique prison. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just your average overprotective mom, right?
No, not at all.
Frolla, that's the mom. She's a big-time activist, like all in, completely devoted to her cause.
The kind of activist who eats, sleeps, and breathes social justice.
Exactly. So we've got this fascinating dynamic. This young woman yearning for the outside world, raised by a mother who's made it her mission to change that very world.
A recipe for fireworks, you might say.
Totally. So what's the tipping point? What makes Quasimoda finally say enough is enough and venture out into the city her mother warned her about?
Well, it's that age-old desire for connection, right? You can only hear so many stories about the outside world before you need to experience it for yourself. And despite Frolla's constant warnings about the dangers lurking out there, Quasimoda can't resist the pull of the unknown.
It's like that human curiosity, that drive to explore. It's just hardwired into us.
Exactly.
So she seizes the moment, sneaks out while Frolla is busy leading a demonstration. And as luck, or maybe fate would have it, she bumps right into Esmeralda, a controversial artist known for challenging, well, pretty much everything.
Oh yeah, Esmeralda is a firecracker. He doesn't shy away from pushing buttons.
Not one bit. Talk about a turning point in Quasimoda's journey. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Their first meeting is electric. Just picture it. Quasimoda, hidden in the shadowy alleyway, comes face to face with Esmeralda.
And Esmeralda, from what I've read, he's not afraid of a little, shall we say, artistic license.
That's putting it mildly. This is a guy who uses his art to challenge religious extremism, to expose hypocrisy.
He even goes as far as burning religious texts in his performances. I mean,
Right.
talk about a statement.
Oh, he's making a statement, all right. Esmeralda is all about freedom of expression, no matter the cost. He's pushing boundaries, even if it makes people uncomfortable.
And it does, often lands him in hot water. But here's what's really interesting, Quasimoda's reaction. After a lifetime of this sheltered existence, she's immediately drawn to Esmeralda's audacity. It's like she's finally found someone who sees the world the way she feels it inside.
It's that spark of recognition, that feeling of, I'm not alone.
Exactly. And that's when things really start to heat up. Esmeralda, he becomes Quasimoda's guide to this whole other side of Paris.
The underbelly, the margins.
Yes, the world of immigrants, of people living on the fringes, the voices that are so often silenced. And for Quasimoda, their stories paint a very different picture from the one her mother has always presented.
It's a wake-up call, a confrontation with the complexities that exist outside of Frolla's black and white worldview.
She's starting to see the cracks in her mother's ideology, the blind spots. And all of this while, let's not forget, she's developing feelings for this artist her mother would probably call public enemy number one.
Talk about forbidden love.
Yeah.
And with Frolla's controlling personality, you just know this isn't going to end well.
Oh, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Especially when one of Esmeralda's art pieces, it's misinterpreted by, let's just say, some people who aren't exactly fans of free expression.
Right. And he's forced to flee, becomes a fugitive practically overnight.
And who's there to help him escape? Who risks everything to hide him in her apartment?
Our girl, Quasimoda, walking straight into the lion's den.
Talk about a cliffhanger. So she's caught between a rock and a hard place, right? And her heart's telling her one thing, her mother's ideology is screaming something else. And then, just when things couldn't get any more complicated,
Frolla finds Esmeralda in the apartment.
oh boy, talk about a recipe for disaster.
It doesn't go well, as you can imagine.
I bet. What happens?
Well, Frolla, she sees red. This is the guy, right? This is the embodiment of everything she's been fighting against.
All those years of activism, all those protests.
It all comes to a head. She sees Esmeralda, and it's like he's this symbol of everything she wants to eliminate.
Wow. So it's not just about Quasimoda disobeying her anymore. This
It
is
is personal, ideological, it's everything all rolled into one.
And Quasimoda's caught right in the middle of it all.
Oh, absolutely. She's living the conflict, isn't she? The one her mother always warned her about, but now she sees both sides.
So what happens? Does Frolla call the authorities?
It's actually more intense than that. Frolla, she calls her activist group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Picture it. This small apartment suddenly swarming with people, all these strong personalities, and right at the center, Esmeralda.
That's a pressure cooker waiting to explode.
Exactly. And Esmeralda, he panics. He sees this mob. He feels trapped.
He's got to get out of there.
Exactly. So he does what anyone in that situation might do. He climbs out onto the balcony.
Oh no, this is it, isn't it? This is the moment you were talking about.
It is. And Frolla, she's right there behind him, yelling, trying to, I don't even know, reason with him, stop him. And then happens. Everything unfolds in a split second. Frolla, she gets too close to the edge, she loses her balance, and she falls.
Oh my God.
It's a tragedy. 1 minute, she's this force of nature, this unstoppable activist. And the next, she's gone.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And it's an accident.
A terrible, tragic accident. It's nobody's fault, really, but of course everybody blames themselves, especially Quasimoda.
Oh, I can't imagine the guilt.
It's immense. She's lost her mother, the one constant in her life, and in a way it's because of her, because she brought Esmeralda into their lives.
That's a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah.
So what happens to Quasimoda after all of this? How does she even begin to process this loss, this guilt?
Well, that's where the story takes another unexpected turn. Instead of retreating back into her shell, she makes a decision that speaks volumes about her journey. She decides to transform her mother's beloved health food shop.
Really? Into what? Another activist hub?
Not quite. She turns it into something Frolla would have probably hated, but something truly extraordinary. A bookstore.
A bookstore. That's an interesting choice.
It is, but it's also a powerful statement, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like she's taking something her mother dedicated her life to, and instead of continuing that legacy directly, she's twisting it, making it her own.
Right. It's like she's saying, I'm going to honor you, Mom, but I'm going to do it my way.
And the bookstore, it's not just any bookstore, is it?
Oh, not at all. This is a space for the books Frolla would have burned. Literally. Remember?
The ones deemed too dangerous, too radical.
Exactly. Banned books, controversial essays, the whole shebang. She even calls it Lit, with a burning book as the logo.
Wow. So she's literally fighting fire with fire.
Precisely. And who does she bring along for this bold venture? None other than Esmeralda.
He's still in the picture after everything. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. He becomes her partner in both senses of the word, I think. They curate this collection together, challenging each other, pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable.
So it's like this act of defiance, but also an act of love. Love for each other, love for free speech, for challenging the norm.
Right, and they have this motto on the wall. I may hate your views, but I would die for your right to express them freely.
Powerful. It's like a direct challenge to the whole idea of echo chambers, of only surrounding yourself with people who agree with you.
Yeah, and let's be honest, that's something we all struggle with, right? Especially these days. It's so easy to get stuck in your own little bubble.
It is, but this story, it's like a reminder that real growth, real understanding, it comes from engaging with the difficult stuff, with the ideas that make you uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's like Quasimoda. She could easily retreated after her mother's death, surrounded herself with the familiar, the safe, but she chose a different path.
A path that celebrates the messy, the complicated, the beauty of diverse perspectives.
And that's what makes this reimagined tale so compelling, isn't it? It's a reminder that even in a world that often feels so divided, there's still room for dialogue, for understanding, for bridging those divides through empathy and shared experiences.
And that's what we're all about here at The Deep Dive, right? Diving into these stories, these ideas, and hopefully coming out the other side a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more connected to the world around us. So, as always, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this modern take on Quasimodo? How does it challenge your own perceptions of this classic tale? Head over to our website, leave a comment, send us an email. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, happy reading.